Alright, you lot, so let's talk about something that gets blood pumping, shall we? Gamers and controversy. Those two words are practically family at this point. You see it every day, comments flooding in, people telling me my videos are 100% pure facts and that YouTube needs more like me. And then there's other crew, the Butter Brigade. Oh, they hate it. They can't stand when the bubble gets burst. They come screaming into me comments, calling me names, calling me ignorant, throwing every lame excuse they can muster. Why? Because I called out hypocrisy at woke gamers and exposed groupthink that's blinding them. But hey, before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and all that bollocks. It helps channel grow. I'll be here calling out every load of rubbish these gamers throw at us. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's dig into juicy stuff. Hypocrisy and gaming culture. It's like a never-ending buffet of contradictions served up hot every time a new game drops. You got these gamers, right? They shout from rooftops about how woke culture is ruining games, how they're all about freedom of speech, standing up for what they believe in. But the moment someone disagrees, here comes Pitchfork Brigade, frothing at mouth because someone dared to have a different view. Suddenly, free speech doesn't apply if that one's being challenged. Just look at comments in my last video. Pure comedy gold. A load of them rushing to defend a game, claiming it's not woke despite fact it's dripping with stuff. They'll ignore every obvious sign, just cause it's the favourite game and they can't handle truth. And when I point it out, cue your stupid comments. Real creative, right? Now here's where it gets even funnier. These same people who claim I'm closed-minded or too political. Meanwhile, they're out here pushing the little agendas on everyone else. Double standards, anyone? And let's not forget, I've got screenshots for every one of these gems. Don't think you can waltz into my comment section, throw a tantrum and walk away unnoticed. No, mate. You'll get your moment in spotlight as Exhibit A Museum of Twonks. See, it's the thing. If you're gonna call someone out, at least have decent argument. Because if all you've got is playground insults, you're only proving my point. And I'll be right here calling it like it is. Keep comments coming. I'm just getting warmed up. So let's talk about crowd that just can't handle a dose of reality. You know type. Those scream facts don't care about your feelings until they're blue in face. But irony? That first to lose it when facts don't line up with their precious opinions. Case in point. I call out blatant hypocrisy in a game, woke themes, preachy nonsense, and suddenly I'm one who's got it all wrong. Apparently, just cause they like game, I'm not allowed to critique it. Classic, right? I mean, look, I get it. No one likes hearing the favourite game is spoon-feeding them same progressive message under the table. But instead of facing facts, they'd rather lob insults my way. Like that'll somehow make truth disappear. And let me tell you, they don't hold back. I've been called ignorant, closed-minded, and my personal favourite, too political. Yeah, mate, I'm a problem for pointing out obvious. Here's what's hilarious, though. These same people will be first to say gaming ain't political. But minute they feel uncomfortable, they're ready to launch crusade. They think they're fighting good fight, all while showing they can't handle an ounce of dissent. So to all defenders of truth, who can't bear a little critique, maybe it's time to take a long hard look in mirror. Because I'll be right here calling out nonsense one comment section at a time. Facts don't care about your feelings, right? Well, buckle up, because neither do I. Let's get into best bit, absolute circus that is Butter Brigade. You've seen them, that first to dive into my comments, keyboards practically smoking, crying about how I've offended them by, wait for it, having an opinion. Oh, the horror! How dare I? A gamer. Speak up and call out rubbish these people desperately defend. They'd rather keep their heads buried in sand and face any uncomfortable truths about games they hold dear. So here they come, with the tired old insults. You're an idiot. You don't know gaming. Get with times. Yeah, alright, mate. Real original. Newsflash. If best you can come up with is name-calling, you're not exactly making a strong case. But here's kicker. These same folks will sit there wrapped in the groupthink, patting themselves on the back like they've somehow won. All cost have convinced themselves that being offended is a defence. Spoiler alert, it ain't. Now, I've got no problem with people having opinions. Hell, that's what keeps things interesting. But if your response to every criticism is throw a fit and insult person speaking, Well, that says a lot more about you than it does about me. It's almost like they think that shouting louder will drown out truth. Let me tell you, it won't. And here's the funniest part. All those comments are screen grabbed, saved, and waiting in archives. The more you shout, more evidence you give me that you can't handle truth. So keep comments coming, Brigade, because every word just proves my point. Now let's talk about real epidemic in gaming today. Groupthink. That's right. Mob mentality where gamers pile on parroting same recycled nonsense like they're reading off a script. It's no longer about playing games for fun or even discussing what's wrong with them. It's about fitting in with loudest voices in room, no questions asked. You've seen it. One popular influencer decides a game's best ever and suddenly everyone's in lockstep. They ignore bugs, recycled plot lines and all empty promises cause Erd says it's perfect. And dare to question it? Oh no, now you're enemy, a hater, or worse, political. Gimme a break. Same people who scream for freedom of speech at first to silence anyone who isn't chanting the favourite game's name. Not just casual gamers either. So-called hardcore ones are just as guilty. They've convinced themselves to thinking critically. But truth is, they're just following along like sheep, terrified of standing out. Look, if you want to defend a game, great. But do it with your own thoughts, not some borrowed opinion from Twitter's echo chamber. Because that's what groupthink does. It strips people of their voice, replacing it with whatever's trending this week. But let's face it, it's easier to talk line than actually engage your brain and form a real opinion. Groupthink's a comfort zone, a shield from all that might challenge them. So if you're part of Erd, here's a reality check. It's fine to think for yourself. And hey, if you can't handle a little dissent, maybe gaming community ain't place for you. Just saying. Now buckle up, folks, because it's time to tackle masterclass in contradiction, double standards that infest gaming culture. You know exactly what I'm talking about. People who say games should just be fun, keep politics out, yet that first to bring their own agendas into every discussion. They'll champion freedom and expression, but only as long as it's their own. The minute someone else has a different view, suddenly it's all about shutting down conversation. Hypocrisy? Check. Irony? Double check. And don't get me started on how these same folks will bend over backwards to defend their favourite studios, even when those studios serve up broken half-baked messes. Oh, but if a game they don't like has a few bugs, well, now it's a disgrace, death of gaming, and somehow society's downfall. Funny how that works, innit? It's almost like they can't handle seeing the beloved franchises called out for what they are. Corporate cash grabs that treat players like walking wallets. And here's where it gets even richer. They'll label people like me too harsh or negative just for calling things out as they are. Yet they'll turn around and lose their minds in comments when a game so much as hints at something that don't agree with. Oh, it's too woke. It's ruined. Yeah, alright mate. Pick a lane. Because trying to stand for purity in gaming while holding those double standards? It's laughable at best, embarrassing at worst. Here's the thing, if you're going to be purist, at least keep it consistent. Don't cherry pick when you want games to be just games and when you want them to preach what you want. Because at the end of the day, those double standards, they don't make you look like a dedicated gamer, they just make you look like a hypocrite. So there you have it, folks. Unfiltered raw truth that some just can't handle. Gaming's grown up, whether you like it or not, and tantrums in comments only prove my point. Industry ain't here to tiptoe around anyone's delicate feelings. It's here to keep pushing boundaries and get people thinking, and yeah, to ruffle a few feathers along the way. Now, if you manage to make it through without throwing a fit or frothing at mouth, congrats, you might just be one at sensible ones. But if you're fuming, well, let's be real, you're already racing to comments. First, smash that like button, hit subscribe and leave your comments and questions below. Go on, vent if you must, or share some actual thoughts if you're up for it. I might just feature at best or at worst right here on channel. I'll see you next time, you magnificent